Good afternoon. It's September 14, 2024. We're critiquing the news. The article on your screen titled Crackpot Elon Musk Unleashes on Australia is from the Cairns Post, and in it we see a graphic with a single word tweet from Elon Musk that says fascists, and it's in reply to a chap named Alex who has correctly pointed out that the Labor Party is attacking free speech and is going to attempt to fine foreign-owned and foreign-based internet platforms up to 5% of their gross revenue for failing to prevent what the Labor Party perceives to be misinformation. Now, particularly triggered is Labor's Assistant Treasurer Stephen Jones and former leader Bill Shorten. And in the body of the article, we see that Jones has said, "This is crackpot stuff. This is about sovereignty, and whether it's the Australian government or any other government around the world, we assert the right to pass laws which will keep Australians safe from scammers, safe from criminals. And for the life of me, I can't see how Elon Musk or anyone else in the name of free speech thinks it's okay to have social media platforms publishing scam content, which is robbing Australians of billions of dollars every year." And then, of course, he thought it was a batty comment from Elon Musk or anyone else. And then Shorten doubled down and said that Musk lacked a consistent approach. He said, "Musk has more positions on our free speech than the Kama Sutra," he told the Today Show. Well, as an Australian, I'm deeply embarrassed by and ashamed of Labor's Assistant Treasurer and former Labor leader, who have to resort to logical fallacies in their war of words with Elon Musk because they can't refute his single-word comment on their pending anti-free speech legislation. Musk called Labor fascists for that legislation, and we need to revisit the meaning of that word. So we've jumped across to the dictionary here, and the dictionary says that it's a system of government marked by centralisation of authority under a dictator, a capitalist economy subject to stringent governmental controls, violent suppression of the opposition, and typically of belligerent nationalism and racism, or B, a political philosophy or movement based on or advocating such a system, with the second meaning being oppressive dictatorial control. So Australia has a system of government marked by the centralisation of authority under a dictator, and that dictator is called the Prime Minister, a position which isn't mentioned in our Constitution. Check. Australia has a capitalist economy subject to stringent government controls. You can't do anything in this nation without a licence. Anything that you could do without a licence 80 years ago, the government took your right to do that away and now sells you back a licence to do the exact same thing. So check. Australia has violent suppression of opposition, which we saw repeatedly during the COVID years. Well, they were shooting people in the back with rubber bullets in Victoria, so check. Australia lacks a policy of belligerent nationalism because the Labor Liberal Uni Party is under the control of anti-borders globalists, but it does have a policy of racism, which favours Aboriginal people above all other races. So there's a half check there. And Australia definitely has oppressive dictatorial control because the Uniparty is about to pass legislation making it illegal to criticise the government, the health system, any minority group or the bank. So let's just duck across to that rather draconian piece of legislation for a minute, and we see that it's a bill pending. It's an amendment to the Broadcasting Services Act, and this is This is the text that's being debated at the moment. We're just going to dive down here to section 14, meaning of serious harm. As we can see, harm to the operation or integrity of the Commonwealth, state, territory or local governments or electoral or referendum processes, which translates as you can't criticise any of those things. Harm to public health in Australia, including the efficacy of preventative health measures. Well, we know the COVID injections have caused a great deal of harm, but now it's illegal to criticise them or any similar organised response in the future. And then at C, we've got vilification of any group, race, religion, sex, sexual orientation, gender identity, intersex status, disability, nationality or national or ethnic origin, or vilification of an individual because of a belief that the individual is a member of such a group. So someone is brought in by elbow every 42 seconds, mainly from India. You can't criticise people from India now. And then, of course, we've got inflicting injury. Well, that's fair enough. We already have laws against inflicting physical injury. I don't know why we need another one. Threatening damage to critical infrastructure or disruption of emergency services. I think we already have laws there too. But then this one, imminent harm to the Australian economy, including harm to public confidence in the banking system or financial markets. So that means it's going to be unlawful to criticise the banks. Now, how would an acknowledged World War II fascist dictator define fascism? Well, let's see what Benito Mussolini said. He said fascism should more rightly be called corporatism because it is a merger of state and corporate power. And, well, what do we see during the COVID injection coercion? We saw the merger of state and corporate power. The corporations said to their employees, you want your job, you want to keep your job, get your injection. So yes, Musk is right. Australia now has a fascist government. We've slipped into, because we have a fascist government, we've slipped into becoming a fascist country after many decades of governance by the Labor Liberal Uni Party. Now, but what about Jones and Shorten's logical fallacies? Jones used the ad hominem fallacy by attacking the person making the argument and calling him a crackpot instead of addressing the argument itself. He used the straw man fallacy when he misrepresented Musk's position by implying he supported scams when he doesn't. Scams are actually banned from Twitter or X quite promptly. He actually supports free speech, but Jones has built that straw man position and then refuted the misrepresentation. He used the appeal to emotion fallacy by employing emotional appeals about scams instead of logically reasoning why the suppression of free speech isn't fascistic in nature. And then Shorten used a non sequitur fallacy by concluding that Musk has more than one position on free speech when that assertion does not follow logically from the premises. By launching an attack on Musk's character and his company through their comments and their legislation, the Australian Uni Party, now remember the Liberals appointed Julie Inman Grant as the anti-free speech commissar, the Australian Uni Party has revealed the paucity of their arguments and their true fascistic nature. It is absolutely vital for the future of every man, woman and child in Australia that we get the Uni Party and their green teal subsidiaries out of our parliaments while we still can.